Welcome back to SBA Radio for Small Business Advice with SBA Director Ruben Garcia, Small Business Guest Expert, and your host, Kaz Taylor, brought to you by CBeyond.net. Big solutions for growing your small business.
And hey there. This segment is brought to you by Degree.com, where you can earn a degree online. Kaz Taylor here. And Ruben Garcia, SBA guy, is not, but he's with his SBA Washington, D.C. guys, learning and informing. So we'll corner him in the next show and ask him what he learned and what he told them. It should be interesting. But today, I'm going to really identify with this segment because I can feel your pain, my small business friends. One of the challenges is having good web search rankings to bring in more business. And this didn't used to be an issue, but it's more and more of an issue as time goes on with this automated world that we're living in. It's a tricky issue to get up there as far as search rankings, and high rankings mean more business, quite simply. And it's a complicated issue, and to simplify things, we have a man named Robb Bailey, Robb with 2 B's, Robb Bailey, Chief Marketing Officer with ebusinessfirm.com, a marketing and search engine optimization company headquartered here in San Diego County, but they have solutions for you no matter what part of the United States you live. Isn't that right, Robb?
That is correct, Kaz.
Good to have you. Well, why don't you give me a profile of the kind of small business that would really need your services in light of SEO ranking and web searches?
Well, basically, it can be any small business. That's the short answer. Most of our clients are local service professionals.
Uh-huh.
So, dentists, doctors, lawyers, chiropractors. But, we do this for any type of business. So it's really, every single business out there needs to be found online today.
Wow. So basically, because we've got a lot of Indian reservations, it could be doctors, lawyers, or Indian chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. And that's a valid comment because everybody in any kind of business could use search engine optimization. Well, tell us a little bit more because when I visited your website, ebusinessfirm.com, I realized that there were a lot of different components to who you are and what you do. Talk a little bit about the search engine component, and then we'll talk about some of the others.
Sure. Well, the search engine optimization is like almost all of what we do. And the reason for that is because frankly, it has the most benefits for our clients. The search engine optimization stuff is particularly complicated because it's changing almost by the second.
And maybe it not only changes with the time, but it may change with the service providers as well, huh?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, every time Google makes an update to their algorithm or, they come out with a new way to be found or, even with mobile phones getting more popular month after month, this is kind of a constantly changing thing, so it's the thing that people need the most help with and the thing that we stay on top of for them. So.
Well, yeah, I can identify with that. My partner and I, it's a challenge. We know that business increases when earlier on, when a search engine ranking would put us on page 1,132, you knew that you weren't going to get any visibility or business from that ranking. Now we've done a few wise things and find ourselves on page 1 for search engine optimization in the rankings, which is good. Love to be like number 1 or number 2, but page 1 ain't bad. Talk to us a little bit about some things that a small business can do, and you're going to say go to ebusinessfirm.com, I know, but beyond that, what can a small business do to be wise in search engine optimization and ranking?
Sure. Well, that's a good question because, a lot of people don't realize that even, you could be number 10 on the first page and still not get any traffic. That's definitely possible. The reason why is because the number 1 listing in the Google organic results gets about 42% of the clicks.
Uh-huh.
And, the second position gets about 12% of the clicks, and it goes down from there. So you can kind of understand how important it is to be at the top of the first page.
Would you say, let me ask you a question in regards to that. Would you say that some businesses that, when a person that's looking for something they have to do due diligence and find several resources, at that point, does that percentage number change?
Yeah, it's a little different for each industry depending on what the person is searching for, but those are general numbers across the board. But, by and large, almost nobody goes to the second page. So,
sure.
If you're not on the first page, that's your first goal. But the second goal should always be to be number 1 across the board, and you should try to do it for multiple terms.
Exactly.
So if you're an auto dealership, you want to be up there for your area.
Your make and model in your area, and a lot of different variations on that.
Exactly. So that when somebody's typing in multiple terms, they constantly see your website at the top of the search engines, and that, they kind of believe that you're an expert after that,
yes.
At that point.
Yeah, if you're number one in the ranking, you must know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, sorry, I really didn't answer your first question. What people can do on their own is basically do what I call making Google happy. And
I love it.
And the way that they can do that, and this is something every small business owner should do for their own website, they should go and use as many of the Google products as they can. So Google Webmaster Tools, just Google the term Webmaster Tools, and it's the first result. They can use Google Analytics on their website. So if they just go to Google and type in Google Analytics, that's another free service they provide. YouTube is owned by Google now, so it might be a good idea to be on YouTube.
Exactly, and link all your YouTube stuff and have some common search engine phraseology on both so that they can speak with one another, and each one elevates the prominence of the other, and all of a sudden you get a higher ranking.
Exactly, and Google basically uses YouTube as their secondary search engine.
Mm-hmm.
So if, for example, somebody's typing in San Diego dentist, and you are a San Diego dentist, and that's a term that you want to rank for, use that term in your YouTube video description when naming the video file. Put your business address and your business name in the description. You can geotag that video to your business location. Use that term in the header tags of your website on the page titles. Tagging the images. All those things tell Google that you are relevant for that term.
I guess also one of the things that we're learning is when you're doing blogs, use that same phraseology right at the top of your blog.
Yes, very important. If you're trying to rank a blog post for a specific term,
mm-hmm.
You definitely want the keyword that you're targeting in the title of the blog post. You want to tag that post with that keyword. You want to use it several times in the page body, and then you also want to go out and get some links that point to that blog post to tell Google that, number one, that it's published, number two, that it's a relevant post. So, if you have a Twitter account or a Facebook Facebook page,
or Constant Contact maybe, or any one of those, any social media that can link?
Yeah, anything. You need to tell Google that you just published this thing. Google's motto is kind of, what have you done for me lately? So, they won't, just sitting back and waiting for them to kind of find you is sort of something that we used to do. We all used to do, right? Like the early 2000s and even maybe the late 2000s. But 2011 today, you need to actively tell Google via all these channels what you've done lately.
Exactly.
So
it's proactive. And the challenge is for we small business people is, we do what we do and we do it better than other people, and that's why we're in business, or we try to do it better than other people. But some of these ancillary requirements that we have, be smart in search engine optimization and things like that, we don't have a clue. It can be overwhelming. It can be intimidating. Fortunately for us, there are people out there such as you that have answers. And there are a lot of people out there who call themselves search engine optimization specialists that really are just learning as they go as well. Tell us a little bit about why ebusinessfirm.com may have a leg up in that arena for small businesses.
Sure. One of the challenges that we face as a service provider, just like every small business, is differentiating ourselves from the pack.
Sure.
Right? And there's so much bad stuff out there with search engine optimization, people calling themselves professionals. It's very hard to know who to trust, and it's almost impossible to screen for a great SEO company, or at least one that you can afford. There's lots of great companies out there that are just out of the price range
mm-hmm.
for most small businesses. But my business partner and I actually have both run small businesses before starting this business, so we understand the challenges what small businesses go through, especially when they're starting up. And we basically created a package that makes it really, really easy for small business owners to give SEO a try. And the way that we do that is we don't charge them a single penny until we prove our we basically put our money where our mouth is.
Now that you've got our small business people's attention, you might want to give us a website, because we only got about a minute left in this segment. So I'm going to ask you to truncate and condense, and give us the golden nuggets that we need to know here. We're talking.
You got it.
We're talking with Robb Bailey, Chief Marketing Officer of eBusinessFirm.com. So, Robb, go.
They can basically just go to the website. They can learn about our program there. The short end of it is we don't charge you a penny until we get your website on the first page of Google. I won't go into the details of the program, but that should be enough to pique your interest if that's something that, sounds compelling to you.
Exactly.
So basically we take the risk away from the front end of things by performing first and asking for the payment later. So that's the short of it.
What a novel idea. It's called being accountable for your client's success. I love it. Great. Once again, Robb Bailey, 2 B's, R-O-B-B Bailey, Chief Marketing Officer of eBusinessFirm.com. My small business friend, I recommend a visit to the website. You can learn a lot on the website. It has a lot of different components in which you may want to be involved, or even ask questions. I'm sure that Robb would entertain questions and give you answers, and trust that his answers will inspire you to become more greatly related to them. 10 seconds of a word of wisdom.
Just don't be intimidated by this stuff. Find a good provider, ask questions, get an advisor like you guys always, talk about on your show, and, stay active. You got to be in this game.
Proactive. Robb Bailey, Chief Marketing Officer, eBusinessFirm.com. Thanks for the insight and revelation.